Pound for Pound Sports. I'm Nick.
And I'm Darren.
Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. Couple quick shout-outs. PFPsports.com, that's our website, constantly uploading every day. Things are constantly changing over there, so make sure you give it a look. And I'd also like to thank Chris Carmichael at SanDiegoRadio.net. He wrote an awesome article featuring us over at ESPN, and just gave us a lot of love over here. And I would encourage everybody to check out his site. Once again, it's SDRadio.net. And thank you so much for hooking us up, man. With that, we're going to get started. One of the things we like to do here over at ESPN and Pound for Pound Sports is we want to feature more women fighters out there. Women are they're a lot more mainstream now. They're really coming up. I don't think anybody can deny that. And some of the better matches that we've seen all year have come from the women, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So with that, we have a special guest on the phone. We have Barb Honchak. Barb, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us. How's the heat over there in Kansas City?
It's hot.
It's brutal.
It's pretty hot. It feels good though.
How was the weight cut over there for you? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Official weight cut is tomorrow, but I'm doing really good. I'm only a couple pounds up, so it should be a pretty easy cut.
Right on target, huh? I love it.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed is that you were training with over at Militech Camp. Are you over there full time or are you part time? What's it like over there?
Yeah, I am over there full time now. I moved up to Iowa. 5-6 months ago, I guess.
Wow.
And so yeah, I've been training up there full time for this camp. It's really, really good. I've learned so many new things in a very short period of time, and the quality of training partners is amazing. There's a huge knowledge base, and the facility itself is great.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine it would. I'm sure you guys have a lot of great training partners. That's actually one of the first things that jumped out when I saw that you were over at Militech. Where did you move there from?
I was in St. Louis, and I trained under Steve Berger in St. Louis for the last bit. Actually, but he's my original coach. He's the one I started with. So the first 5-6 years of my career, I was with Steve. So this is my first fight under the Militech Fighting System camp.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'll bet you're excited. I've always said that some of the best technique I've ever seen have actually come from women. I've seen a lot of women grapple at Worlds, Pan Ams, and now we see them more in the mainstream, especially in Strikeforce. I hope it's a sign of things to come. I noticed in some of your fights you have a lot of great technique, just really high-level jiu-jitsu player, especially off your back. Where did you learn skills and flexibility like that? Was it Berger over there?
Yeah, Steve's an amazing jiu-jitsu coach. He's really, really good at teaching it not just for jiu-jitsu itself, but jiu-jitsu for MMA. And he is the primary coach, and such a great grappler. And I think he's planning on doing a few tournaments in the near future too. Last I talked to him.
Well, Barb, I noticed you were 8-1 as an amateur. Coming up through the ranks, did you get to see a little bit of everything for different competition, not just different competition, but different promotions as well?
Yeah, I think so. I fought on a lot of different cards. Even as an amateur, I had to travel a lot to fight, so I didn't fight in the St. Louis. I did a few times, but not often. So I kind of went all over. I've fought a lot of different types of girls, as far as their styles and techniques, body types. So yeah, I definitely feel like I've experienced a lot of different types of fights and a lot of different types of promotions.
Now, are you one of? I actually spoke with, I believe it was your manager, and he says that it's a lot of women's desire to actually go to other countries like your Russia, Brazil, and kind of branch out and just experience a different style of just mixed martial art in general. Has that ever been your desire to go to other countries and just kind of experience that for yourself?
Yeah, sure. I would love to. I would love to travel to fight for sure. It's not something I've done. Out of the country, I haven't traveled myself out of the country that often at all, and so I would love to do it and then have a fight wherever I go on top of it.
Oh, I'm sure you can use it as a vehicle somewhere to see some really exotic places. I was going to say, although I noticed coming up through the amateur ranks, you lost by split decision to Jessica I. I thought you looked really good. I thought your transitions, your scrambles looked really impressive. What did you take away from that fight? And did you do anything different in training after that? Because you ripped off 6 straight after that loss. Did you do anything different in camp after that?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from that fight with Jessica. I remember being in that fight and having her in positions that I should have been able to finish her, and I was still a pretty young fighter at that point, and like she had good defense, and I didn't know how to fight somebody with defense against my submissions yet. So I think the main thing that I learned is how to transition. I was like, okay, well, I can't get this, so what's next? So kind of I think I changed my flow a lot
For sure.
after the fight with Jessica, yeah.
Yeah, no, you look really impressive. I mean, like I said, even despite, everything that happened in that fight, it seems like you were constantly, moving your hips, working for a better position. And I don't know. I mean, after watching a couple of your subsequent fights, I mean, I noticed a big difference just in the overall positioning. So I think it worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, I think so too.
Hey, Bobby.
I think I learned something from all of my fights, and I definitely learn a lot from a loss, and I try to fix whatever the problem was from the loss. So, Jessica was my first loss, and so I think that was the big lesson. My first big lesson was from that fight.
And what has been your most frustrating moment coming up so far in your career?
Oh, that's a hard question.
I'm sure you've seen a lot, coming up, with different promotions and whatnot. I mean, the reason we ask is because we have the unique opportunity to cover a lot of local shows down here, too. And usually with the smaller promotions, from amateur to pro, I mean, you get a chance to see a little bit of everything. I mean, you see, not to disparage anybody, you see people that need more work. You see people that are well on their way. You see a lot of cash grabbing sometimes.
So, okay, I'm going back to your question, and I would have to say that what was it? Did you describe it as the most disappointing? Is that what it was?
Just your most frustrating moment so far in your early career.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what. For sure, the most frustrating experience I had, I think, was I did that Ultimate Women's reality show, or the attempted Ultimate Women's reality show that never aired. So, yeah, for sure, out of my career, the fiasco that happened with that has to be the most frustrating. That's
awesome.
Isn't as far of a question as I was thinking.
Recently, we've seen the women's MMA hit mainstream. Recently over the last year, I'd say we've even seen a couple women's fights with Ronda Rousey and Sarah Kaufman coming up in a couple weeks, where they're headlining big promotions like Strikeforce. As a women's fighter yourself, how does that make you feel, knowing that has come so far to where we actually have women headlining a major promotion like that?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And they should be. I mean, they're talented women. We work just as hard as the men, if not harder. We're smaller than most of our training opponents, so
right.
we're getting our asses kicked, day in, day out. And so I think it's justifiable that we should be headlining.
Yeah.
We're technical and we're just as good. So I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And how far do you see, how far away do you think you are from a promotion like Strikeforce? What do you need to improve more in your game to get on a level like that?
Well, I'm actually really content fighting for Invicta for a while. Mm-hmm. I believe my next several fights will be with Invicta.
Nice.
So I would love to fight for a promotion like Strikeforce, but I don't feel like it's something that I need to force to happen. If they want me, they know where I'm at.
Yeah, really all you can do is keep fighting who they keep putting in front of you and keep winning.
Yep.
For sure. You stopped. I noticed you're pretty dangerous, obviously, when you get somebody's back. In the amateur ranks, you stopped a lot of fighters with your hands. Which one do you prefer more? Do you prefer to submit somebody, or do you prefer to stand and bang?
I both. I really like either one. It depends on how the fight's going, really, for me. So, if I feel like I'm doing well, I will keep on standing. If I feel like I want to change it up and go to the ground, I'll go to the ground. I'm pretty comfortable in both places, so I don't. It really, the fight dictates itself, I think.
Spoken like a true mixed martial artist. Do you feel that with experience that you're more patient as a fighter? I mean, just looking for opportunities.
I think so. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, with looking for opportunities that present themselves, I mean, obviously looking at your amateur record and now your pro record, I mean, you're really putting together a string of fights there. I mean, do you feel that you're more patient with that experience each fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think I started out a fairly patient fighter, though. I think I've always been, fairly patient when I'm actually in the cage, pretty calm. So I do think that it developed, even more so now, but I've always been a pretty patient fighter, I think.
So you feel you've been able to capitalize on those opportunities that present themselves, just, coming with experience and patience like that?
Oh, sure, yeah. I can see them more easily than I used to be able to, for sure, yeah.
One thing I noticed, you've been a very busy fighter the last 2 years. How important is it that you stay active and keep fighting?
Oh, it's what I love to do. I train harder. I stay in the gym. I keep my motivation level is much higher when I know I have something on the calendar. So I definitely like to keep some kind of competition down the line that I can look forward to. A break is nice once in a while, but I'm sort of coming off one of those at the moment. So I'm definitely looking to stay active in the next year.
Yeah, you know what? You mentioned earlier one thing that's I've always wondered. You said your training partners are usually bigger than you. I'm assuming you spar and roll a lot with men. Do you sometimes find, is it hard to find a man who, I don't want to word this wrong, but maybe, give you their all in sparring and rolling, or is that not an issue for you?
Just starting at my previous camp, it wasn't really an issue anymore. Starting at my new camp, there was a short breaking-in period, but within a week or two, I had no issues having guys go with me and roll and hard, really push me and go hard.
Nice.
There was, they're all very good about making sure that they're giving me what they got.
Right. While we still have time left, I wanted to ask you one last question. First off, what was it like preparing for Bethany Marshall, somebody that you know and or your manager also manages? How well do you know her, and how do you see the fight going down?
I don't know her. I met her for the first time after I got out here this week. I have found very little online about her. There's not a ton. So, this fight, I know she's a very good grappler. I know she has a background in Muay Thai. But I think, I'm not going to worry about what it is that she's going to do to me as much as I have concentrated on what I want to do to her. So, I've had a very good camp, a very hard camp, getting ready for Bethany, yeah. Wow. And, Brett is extremely professional, so he's done a very good job of managing us both and keeping us both separated. So, that hasn't been an issue at all, for sure.
Fantastic. Well, everybody out there, if you want to see Barb Honchak, follow her on Twitter at L_warrior. Twitter.com. She's got a Facebook fan page, Barb the Little Warrior Honchak. There's a big flyweight scrum going on, Memorial Hall, Kansas City, Saturday, July 28th, Invicta FC 2. Go to InvictaFC.com. It's a great women's promotion out there, straight up amazing talent. Barb, thank you so much for being on our show, and if you come down here, stay out of La Jolla. There's sharks out there. Go to Pacific Beach.
I will. Thank
I really appreciate it, Barb. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and we wish you luck. We'd love to have you back on anytime.
Great. Thank you.
Have a good one, Barb.
You too.
Coming up, we will talk Dana White's reaction to UFC 149, and will the Bradley Pacquiao rematch ever happen in a timely manner, that is. You're listening to Pound for Pound Sports with Nick and Darren, ESPN Radio, San Diego. We'll be right back.
1700.
And we'll see you real soon.
Take care.
And we're out. Good show, guys.
Thanks, Producer Jen. Good job there, little boy.
Thank you, Fat Man. You listen to talk radio in San Diego?
Of course I do. Where do you think I get my knowledge?
You call it knowledge, I call it right-wing propaganda.
What do you do now that there's no Air America, and thank goodness for that?
Well, unfortunately, when Air America went away, I had to find something else, so I started listening to sports talk radio.
Sports talk radio in San Diego is all the same. It's the same old, same old.
You're right. That's about to change.
How?
August 4th, PFP Sports is bringing their show to ESPN Radio, AM 1700.
Really? August 4th. Is that a Saturday?
Saturday, August 4th, 9 o'clock in the morning. They're going to have their show every Saturday, and we will finally have a show that talks combat sports in San Diego.
Well, that I will definitely not miss.
Yeah, me neither.
Wow, you guys agree on something? It must be good.
So I've been living in Southern California my entire life, and I've been an MMA fan for a very long time. And if it's one thing that I can't stand, it's the lack of coverage for this amazing sport. I mean, really, if you're a fan of this sport, the only place you could find anything whatsoever is on FM, and I'm talking for 5, maybe 10 minutes, and you don't learn anything.
Not only that, it's your biggest stars, too. UFC champions. We hear them locally here on rock stations for 5 minutes. Getting interviewed by rock DJs. So finally, we're bringing our show, Pound for Pound Sports, MMA dominant radio show to the air. ESPN Radio 1700. Very excited about the move, starting August 4th, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 10.
And I can't wait. I mean, what a fantastic opportunity we finally have. We're in on the ground floor of something truly great, and I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity. So make sure you tune in Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10. We got the whole hour, ESPN Radio 1700, San Diego.
August 4th, the takeover.
Welcome back to Pound for Pound Sports. Nick and Darren, ESPN Radio, 1700. Fantastic interview with Barb Honchak. Barb, thank you again so much. As we promised before we went to the break, we had a couple things to get to. First and foremost, Dana White's UFC 149 reaction. My question to you is that, first off, I felt, and a lot of people felt, that the undercard delivered. They were awesome, but the main card didn't. And it did set records in Calgary, all gate records. Dana White, very critical of Yves Levine for the First off, Yves Levine's for the way he handled the Chet Congo-Sean Jordan fight. I personally didn't think, Yves is a bad ref. He's one of the better ones out there. I think maybe Dana was a little too critical of Levine in particular. I mean, maybe Mazzagatti.
He's got a tendency to be a little critical on refs in general, period. But yeah,
it's not a good time for refs and scoring in general right now in mixed martial arts. But I don't know, man. What was your reaction to the card in general? I mean, were you sharing the same sentiment as Dana White?
It's hard to say in general because overall the main card. Let's be real here. I agree with Dana. It sucked. But to throw in the whole card as one. I mean, the undercard was flat out amazing, right? I mean, and there was good fights on the main card. I thought the Matt Riddle-Chris Clements fight was great. Right now, I just want to say thank you, Josh Rosenthal, for stopping the fight after that perfectly legal knee, because without that, we would have never seen that beautiful arm triangle.
Good point.
But you know what? I thought that was a great fight, and I actually thought the main event was all right. You know what? If the 3 fights before the main event weren't so bad, people want to be booing during that fight. I actually thought the main event was pretty good.
The main event went pretty much how I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to go the difference. Thought there would be a little more back and forth, but apparently Uriah Faber broke his rib. I think some point in the first, they had the X-ray on Twitter, all that good stuff. Doesn't take anything away from how Renan Barão performed.
No.
I don't know. My reaction is pretty much the same as Dana White and the crowd. I mean, I don't know. It's unfortunate that it broke records like it did, and at the end of the night, people walk away feeling like they did. You know what I mean? It's a big market. They needed that market to go over well.
Yeah, you know what? Let's not act like people won't show up if they go back.
Oh,
they
go
back. They'll throw one of their Canadian stars in the card.
Forget about it.
I mean, let's not forget that this card has been, black flag since day one. How many fight changes we've had? I mean, main event change, all kinds of stuff. So for them to go on and put on a successful numbers wise, I think it's good for the UFC. Like I said, the people booing the main event, I mean, they got their money's worth. The undercard was absolutely fantastic.
Well, kind of, you bring up a good point with the undercard, because I think that's it's consistent with the fact that, the pay-per-views so far this year, I mean, we're 7 months into the year. Would it be fair to say that the free cards on TV have been the best ones all year?
Yeah,
for the most part.
And I don't know if it has something to do with these. Usually the guys you see on the free TV, or let's say the undercard. I don't want to say all the free TV shows, but they're usually the guys trying to make their name.
Right.
And we saw that with a guy like Ryan Jimmo in a 7-second knockout.
Good point.
We talk about it all the time. 7-second fight. It's hard to take anything good or bad away from either camp. Francisco Rivera was another guy that I thought looked fantastic.
It's a great point.
And and those aren't household names. These guys are trying to make a name.
They're hungry.
I mean, they're hungry and they're aggressive and they're trying to finish fights. You see guys on the main cards and they're just so afraid to lose to get notched, down out of contender status that maybe they don't fight the most aggressive fight out there.
It's an excellent point, and they've actually, in my opinion, the matchups have been incredible. I mean, I feel like I'm hanging on Joe Silva's jock every week here, but
you are.
Maybe a little bit, but it wouldn't hurt. Anyway, but I'm saying that I don't know, man. The free cards, in my opinion, have been some of the best ones all year. You got hungry guys, even matchups, and matchups that you want to see. The traditional matchups, grappler versus a guy who wants to stand and bang, or guys canceling each other out. I don't know. I think the free cards, in a lot of ways, are going to be kind of they hurt pay-per-views a little bit, just because there's so many cards out there, and like I said, as it would turn out, the better ones have been the free ones.
Well, it's hard knowing that I got a cable bill coming that's going to be $45 for that main card. When I got to see the undercard, which stole the show. Let's be real here. It stole the show, and I got to watch that for free. But you know what? That's what happens.
Such is life. Like I said, that's how they go sometimes. You know? I mean, sometimes the best fights on paper turn out to be the worst pay-per-views.
Again, and I don't want to throw a black flag on the entire main card. Like I thought that Matt Riddle fight could have easily been fight of the night.
Oh, I absolutely.
And props to Matt Riddle, man. I got to give him. I know they don't really have fighter of the night, but if there was, I would give it to him because. I mean, we got a guy going up against a lethal striker.
Yeah.
Who got him on the ground and was letting him back up.
Sean Tompkins, man. I mean, that's a.
But he kept on letting him back up so we could bang some more with him. I mean, that guy.
Yeah.
People want to talk about. You can talk about him all you want. That guy's an exciting young fighter.
Props to that guy. Speaking of that same card, probably the biggest flop. Worst debut I think I've ever seen. And the reason I say that, obviously, is because have you ever seen a guy coming in with more heat and more run than Hector Lombard? I mean, my God, they were talking title and Lombard in the same sentence. He hadn't even had a UFC fight yet.
No. And I've even heard some of the Sherdog badasses say this guy is going to win the title. This guy could beat Anderson Silva. So,
can you think of a worse debut for a fighter?
No, I can't even think of one close, to be quite honest with you.
I struggle. I can't think of one either.
No.
I mean, what's next for a guy like Lombard? I mean, does he step down in competition? I mean, clearly, lumping him in title contention conversations was a bit ridiculous. But who do we throw at this guy now? I mean, or forget about who do we throw at him. What's next for that guy?
Well, first off, at the post-fight press conference, Dana White had mentioned that he should drop down to 170, which 2 weeks ago he's selling. You got Hector Lombard selling himself as the best 85er in the world, right? You got Dana White bringing him over, selling him as a threat to Anderson's belt. And now all of a sudden he needs to drop down after one fight?
Well, that's promoting it. It's best for you.
Yeah, you know what? And I understand everyone's got a job to do, but let's not. I mean, the guy's solid. I mean, he's built solid. It's not like I didn't see an ounce of fat on that guy.
Well, first off, you mentioned a good point. I don't even know how a drop to 170 is possible for a guy with a build like that. I mean, the guy looked like Bruce Small Paul Harris.
Yeah, they talk about he's 5'9" or whatever he is, but so what? I mean, the guy, I didn't see an ounce of fat on him. So
no. As for what's next, I don't know, maybe a boxing coach, teaches some combos, some head feints, some fundamentals. I mean, the reason I bring that up is you look at a guy like Adrian Broner, say what you will about that guy, he fought on the same weekend, but you're talking about a guy that's not that much smaller, and you see a definitive difference in the skill set, the fundamentals, the speed. I mean, it's like looking at two different people out there.
I got to disagree with you a little bit. I thought Hector Lombard showed flashes throughout the fight of the aggressive striking that we were expecting coming over into the octagon that we've seen in Bellator, quite frankly. I thought he showed flashes. What's next for him? I mean, maybe he gets that Mark Munoz fight.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually
it's funny because everybody was laughing about that last week when he was talking about it because, Dana says, I don't know if he saw, but,
that'd be great matchup.
Mark Munoz is coming off a loss. Well, so now it's Hector Lombard.
Yeah, but, Hector Lombard, he just looked like a one-trick pony out there. I mean, a guy that was just, don't get me wrong, he was a scary dude. He was a threat to end the fight at any time. Please don't get it wrong. But, I mean, the guy was just out there trying to land that lead left hook. I mean, the entire night. It's just a bit one-dimensional.
By no means am I trying to hop on the Lombard camp here, but it wasn't like Tim Bosch, looked fantastic in the fight. In my opinion, I didn't really think, Bosch went out there and put a beating on him.
Does he deserve any credit, Tim Bosch?
Well, he deserves credit because he was the other fighter in there, but, I mean, I don't think either one of them fought a spectacular fight.
No, neither one of them fought a spectacular fight. I'm not going to, go ahead and say, I give Tim Bosch all the credit. I think he does deserve a little bit of credit. I mean, he did what he had to do to win. He stayed out of trouble. I mean, it's a big win for him. I mean, there was a big stage with that name of Lombard. I mean,
yeah, no doubt. You know what? And I hear people should be down on Lombard. Because a guy comes in with so much hype, it's not. You could put some of it on Hector Lombard. I mean, the guy is one of the cockier fighters in the sport.
For sure.
But it's not his fault he's getting all that hype.
No, that's not his fault.
It is not his fault. And, we have a guy that writes for our show. If you check on PFPsports.com, you go to Jason's 15%. And right after the fight, he's calling like they should cut him. If they really want to teach him a lesson, they should cut him.
Love it.
And you know what? As much as I love Jason's 15%, I couldn't disagree with that more. I mean, I personally think the guy deserves a pass. Give him, throw him out another 185er. I mean, we see this happen with guys making their UFC debut all the time. Look at Shogun.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Shogun lost his UFC debut. Correct me if I'm wrong, with Rampage. I don't think maybe
it was Forrest Griffin. I think.
Yeah, and I don't think he looked very impressive.
No. So there's a lot of guys who get a lot of run. I mean, Cutter might be a little. That might be a bit much. I don't know if a pass is the right word. I'd like to see him get another opportunity to redeem himself for sure. On a quick note, on dropping to 170, I don't think the fact that he was being too big wasn't the problem. Being one-dimensional was the problem. And I think in order for a guy like that to make 170, he's going to have to lose some size. But again, I don't know that there's a translation there. The guy was fast enough. I don't know if the weight cut was the issue, and I don't know that's going to solve anything.
Yeah, no, like I said, we saw flashes of the exciting Hector Lombard in this fight. And for a curveball for you, what would you say about a potential matchup with Strikeforce champ Luke Rockhold?
I think that would be a fantastic way. Knew we kept you around here for something, man. Real quick, Adrian Broner. I got to ask you real quick. Shady decisions, are they boxing's black eye, or is it guys like Adrian Broner who miss weight and show no remorse for doing so?
It's Adrian Broner. I mean, this guy, he's 22 years old. He reeks of scumbag. You got to be professional. Yeah. One of the things as a fighter, being professional, is you got to make weight. It's part of your job. And to show no remorse for losing his belt and doing that, it made me sick. I mean, him and all of his posse wearing Free Money May. Yeah. Last I checked, Floyd Mayweather was in jail for beating a woman. So if you're going to support that, that's cool. Go ahead and do that. Yeah. But as far as Adrian Broner, the worst part about it is this guy is a phenomenal fighter. This guy is inside the ring. I was so impressed with his shoulder roll defense and just his power and speed, which made it even tough when I'm watching the ref try to clear his entourage out for a minute and a half before the fight started. So
it's crazy, man. I think boxing's got a ton of black eyes. Obviously, Adrian Broner's a tremendous talent. You mentioned the post-fight annex. The thing is, I'm not surprised that he missed weight. That doesn't surprise me at all. I am surprised that he doesn't show any. I don't know. I am surprised that he isn't showing remorse because, like I said, he's not a pay-per-view draw. He's fighting on HBO, so you would think, they got to market that guy the right way. You'd think it's just that much harder.
Why take the fight? Why take the fight if you're going to come out saying 130 pounds, you've outgrown it? Don't accept a 130-pound fight.
Escobedo did get a fair shake. I mean, at the end of the day, he did get outclassed, and that extra size didn't translate into any extra speed.
Yeah.
So with that, we got to take a break. Coming up, UFC star heading to Strikeforce. We'll tell you who. And also, is this the end of an era with Uriah Faber? Let's work through it when we come back. Nick and Darren, ESPN Radio, San Diego.
1700.
And we'll see you real soon.
Take care.
And route. Good show, guys.
Thanks, Producer Jen. Good job there, little boy.
Thank you, Fat Man. You listen to talk radio in San Diego?
Of course I do. Where do you think I get my knowledge?
You call it knowledge, I call it right-wing propaganda.
What do you do now that there's no Air America, and thank goodness for that?
Well, unfortunately, when Air America went away, I had to find something else, so I started listening to Sports Talk Radio.
And Sports Talk Radio in San Diego is all the same. It's the same old, same old.
You're right. That's about to change.
How?
August 4th, PFP Sports is bringing their show to ESPN Radio, AM 1700.
Really? August 4th. Is that a Saturday?
Saturday, August 4th, 9 o'clock in the morning. They're going to have their show every Saturday, and we will finally have a show that talks combat sports in San Diego.
Well, that I will definitely not miss.
Yeah, me neither.
Wow, you guys agree on something? It must be good.
So I've been living in Southern California my entire life, and I've been an MMA fan for a very long time. And if it's one thing that I can't stand, it's the lack of coverage for this amazing sport. I mean, really, if you're a fan of this sport, the only place you could find anything whatsoever is on FM, and I'm talking for 5, maybe 10 minutes, and you don't learn anything.
Not only that, it's your biggest stars, too. UFC champions. We hear them locally here on rock stations for 5 minutes. Getting interviewed by rock DJs. So finally, we're bringing our show, Pound for Pound Sports, MMA dominant radio show to the air. ESPN Radio 1700. Very excited about the move. Starting August 4th, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 10.
And I can't wait. I mean, what a fantastic opportunity we finally have. We're in on the ground floor of something truly great, and I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity. So make sure you tune in Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10. We got the whole hour. ESPN Radio 1700, San Diego.
August 4th, the takeover.
And welcome back to ESPN Radio. Nick and Darren, Pound for Pound Sports Hour here. Got to bring up a couple more boxing notes here. Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the pool, we go ahead and bring up Bradley and Manny Pacquiao once again. Couple headlines in the grumblings in the news. Tim Bradley's manager says the rematch versus Pacquiao must happen. However, they don't know if it's going to happen by November 4th. That was the target date. The reason I think this is, kind of sketchy. I don't know if sketchy is the right word. I think it's strategic more than anything else. I don't know. Really, what it comes down to is a payday. I mean, how is Tim Bradley supposed to get those big paydays if he gives back the strap? And I'm not saying he will give it back in a rematch, but clearly, if he can get a couple more fights as champion under his belt, that's got to translate into a better payday, don't you think?
I do think. But what would happen if he lost one of those fights?
you know what? Then you're probably going to see Manny Pacquiao go after one of those guys.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm thinking. If I'm just looking at the immediate future, I think Manny Pacquiao. It's hard for me to think of a bigger draw than him right now.
Yeah, I mean, Mayweather-Pacquiao, those are the two top pay-per-view draws.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think you got to strike while the iron's hot, and if he wants a rematch in November, you got to give it to him. I mean, that might be the biggest payday of your career.
Yeah, I mean,
we're coming off one of the biggest controversies in all of sports. And you have a chance to go out there and prove everybody wrong and win it again. I have a hard time believing that wouldn't be the biggest payday of his career.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point. I got to question whether or not Tim Bradley fighting another guy would bring him as much money as just a rematch with Pacquiao. I mean, you got to figure he's looking at least an 8-figure payday with Pacquiao, win, lose, or draw.
Well, just the fact, just given everything, all the hype around the first one, all the millions of people that just are saying, Pacquiao got screwed. You're one of them. You're one of the guys that thinks.
I'm one of about a million.
Yeah, and everybody.
And we're all right.
This would be, it would be a tremendous pay-per-view buy, and dare I say, I might even purchase that.
Which one? Oh, Bradley Pacquiao. Oh, yeah. You know what?
I might even buy that.
You know what? It's funny. I'll probably go to a bar and pay $10 is what I'll do. And it's funny because here we are, just like everybody else, sitting in the same seat a couple months ago, talking about how it's awful But you know what? Even then, we couldn't deny that probably everybody would buy that, if not more, next time.
No,
if not more.
Yeah, no question.
What's funny is I think obviously this strategic. In my opinion, I don't think this fight is going to happen anytime before mid-2013. I mean, the way their management's talking, I mean, I can't see happening any sooner.
You know what? The worst thing for the Bradley camp would to be accept a different opponent and him lose. That would be so
devastating.
It would.
I agree. I absolutely agree. You know what? On a side note, I don't know if you had a chance to see Jim Lampley's show. I think it's Inside Breaking Down Boxing. I struggle to think of the name, but if you look on HBO On Demand, they actually do a really good show, and they talk about just the scoring system. And they did something that's pretty interesting. They break down any round that's in question or even remotely close, and then they let you watch the round with no announcing, no nothing, and you get to watch it. And hear and see what a professional judge is supposed to see.
And you know what? You bring up a good point with that. And no, I haven't watched it. I will do that.
You should.
But, I have done that a couple times on MMA fight where I'll just mute it, and it's amazing how different the fight looks when you don't have announcers
and influencing
the fight. I mean, let's be honest, we both love Joe Rogan. He's the best in the business, but sometimes he has a tendency to latch onto a fighter and he doesn't let go.
That's been the one knock on him.
And it's easy to sit there and hear all that for 5 minutes, thinking, oh yeah, Joe's right. He won the Mute one of these rounds, and you'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, and I'm not taking anything away from Joe Rogan. Clearly, that guy's the best at what he does, bar none.
100%.
But any announcing team for that matter. I mean, like when they see a fighter, guys are standing in a phone booth throwing down. I mean, you can't sit there and acknowledge every punch, and sometimes a guy gets swept under the rug. And really, if you're going to be a judge, obviously, I mean, it's a totally different perspective, I guess, is the bottom line. So definitely worth a look. Uriah Faber, speaking of UFC 149, going back to that for a minute. At 33 years old, the guy's still a young guy. He's had a rough go as of late in the UFC. Also towards the end of his career in WEC. At 33 years old, are we seeing the end of an era in Uriah Faber?
I'm afraid to say I think we are. Earlier in his career, you go back 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, the guy was just known for setting crazy pace.
Right.
I mean, it seemed like the guy never gassed. He was coming 100% at you with a minute left in the 5th round.
Yeah.
And we're basically seeing him get exposed to Jose Aldo and now Barao. I mean, they were just able to keep him on the outside, moving and out, using their leg kicks. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
Uriah Faber learned how to check a kick.
That's for sure.
And they were able to move inside and pepper his face. These guys are just overwhelming him now, and we never saw that before. We never really saw Uriah Faber
get overwhelmed, outclassed.
Yeah, exactly. Get out hustled or He was always on the offensive, and I unfortunately I think we are seeing the end of era. The guy's a very marketable guy. One of the he's one of the faces of MMA. Period.
Oh no question about that. At 33 years old, there's still plenty of time left on the clock. He hasn't sustained a lot of damage, but like a lot of fighters, they find themselves only getting X amount of title shots or opportunities. And really, at this point, I don't think anybody can argue that. Probably that was his last go. I think I sat here and I said that last week or two, and there's plenty of interesting fights still out there for him. Would you agree?
And you say he's only 33 years old, but to put together the kind of streak that he's going to have to put together to even be thought of,
it's not possible.
I don't think it is. I mean, unless they're throwing them a bone or unless somebody gets injured and he's like a replacement, I just don't think he could put together the kind of dominating streak. I mean, we would need to see him just smash 4 straight dudes in impressive style.
I think not only smashed him, I think it might even be a bit more than 4. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, he's had so many opportunities at a title.
Yeah, you know what? It's hard to say, because you don't know what talent's going to be in the UFC, what
hard
isn't.
To say.
One thing I found interesting is he's built Team Alpha Male, and what would you? I mean, we're big cross promotion guys here,
huge,
or cross training guys here. What would he would benefit, in my opinion, for maybe his next fight he steps out of Alpha Male and goes train somewhere else.
Yeah, you know what? I think you bring up an excellent point, and I think that's probably what you're going to see. I mean, if he's ever to progress, I mean, I got to question, how many people push, the founding member of any one organization, and like I said, he's still a dangerous fighter.
Yeah,
but in my opinion, my humble opinion, I just don't think he's evolved enough with the sport over the last couple of years. I think it's a bit much. Too much wrestling. He's not really a threat to put anybody away.
And that's the thing. And in the main event, we saw him shoot for a couple takedowns, but I mean they were easily defended.
But even then, like in any fight, throw this last fight out that happened. I mean, is he really a threat to put anybody away? Have you seen him able to really take anybody and put them outside their comfort zone?
It's been a while.
It has been a while, and like I said, I think that Uriah Faber's a fantastic fighter. He actually came in. I thought he put on a little bit of size, like a little bit of muscle. I was wondering how that was going to translate, but it didn't seem like he could really get anything going, and not just against not just in this fight, but in previous fights.
Yeah, he's been kind of at a lull the last, and that's why I'm saying maybe maybe he's stepping out of Team Alpha Male for a little while wouldn't be the worst thing for his career.
No,
we heard 7, 8 years ago. I want to say it was Chuck Liddell talk about that a little bit. Well, when you're the top guy at any one given camp, I mean, it's hard to have guys push you. You always need somebody better that's pushing you.
A lot of guys have always found iron sharpens iron.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
I'm not sure that maybe he's not. I mean, I've never watched Team Alpha Male train, but I don't know. You see a guy who's I think is 5-5 in his last 10. He's basically been a 500 fighter the last 2-3 years.
And again, what it boils down to is he's not really a threat to put anybody away at any given time.
No.
I think it's too much wrestling. It's just my opinion.
I agree.
Moving on, big news this week. We talked about it going into the break. Big time name in the UFC going down to Strikeforce. It's the first of its kind, quite frankly.
Yeah.
For those of you out there that didn't hear or don't know yet, it's Frank Mir. He's moving down. They're rumored for a September 29th matchup. Frank Mir versus Daniel Cormier. What do you think about this matchup?
I think it's funny how you say that he's moving down. Because, I mean, let's be real here. It's like he's getting sent down to AAA.
He's moving to a lesser organization, but the competition is as good in Daniel Cormier as it is anybody in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. Daniel Cormier is coming up.
He is. So is Tyrone Woodley.
Woodley is. I don't know that he's in. I don't know if he's in Cormier's. I don't want to say caliber, but look what he just did to Josh Barnett. I mean, Josh Barnett was a guy that literally sustains no damage. I mean, at least his last 5 fights. I mean, he's evolving. He's getting better and better. I mean, you looked at a guy who literally just turned a corner. I mean, I hate to use the name Chris Weidman. I mean, but it was. I feel that Daniel Cormier was already in the process of coming out, but you can't deny that guy's.
I'm not denying his skills at all. I'm just saying.
10?
I think he's maybe 10. I think he's a top 10.
Maybe 10.
I've seen people put him on the top 5 already. I mean, let's be real here. The
5 might be a bit much.
Yeah, that's a bit high. He's somewhere in the top 10. Yes. To be quite honest with you, when I first heard this news, I mean, it just came out today, but I actually thought it was kind of a slap in the face of Frank Mir. I mean, you got a guy who's been, a career-long UFC fighter, but we don't know yet. We don't know if maybe this was his idea. Maybe he's like, hey, Dana, yeah, I'll go fight him. Well, I also heard a rumor that both these guys were going to be coming to the UFC after this fight, so
I heard that too.
So what's the point of not having the fight in UFC? I mean, it's obviously just so we can maybe improve the ticket sales and ratings.
I was just going to say, attendance play a role in that.
It's got if both these fighters move to the UFC after this fight, that's got to be the only reason. Right?
Yeah, no, I can't see it being any other way. As for this matchup, do you like the matchup?
I love getting to the matchup. It's funny because another thing, Cormier said that he thinks Josh Barnett is better than Frank Mir, to which I completely disagree. I mean, Frank Mir's fought his whole career in UFC against top-notch competition. We haven't seen that out of Josh Barnett. It's been a long time since we've seen Josh Barnett fight. I know he fought Crow Cop and Big Nog back in the day, but it's been a while.
They both pose a lot of different problems. I think the power edge would go to Mir.
I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm a big Frank Mir fan. I think Daniel Cormier is coming up. But I see this fight much like I saw the Nate Marquardt Tyrone Woodley fight. I think
it's interesting.
I think Frank Mir is, assuming that he's able to not get all depressed about, I'm going down to Strikeforce, assuming walking out to 2,500 people doesn't, make him want to turn around.
Well, you know what you're getting into. I mean, that's no secret. So
I actually think I like Frank Mir to win this fight.
You know what? like I said, it might be a bit early to make predictions.
It is.
I like to go with Cormier myself. I think Mir, like Faber, is never going to be in title contention again. So really, he's just left up to fight interesting fights, and this is definitely an interesting fight.
It's definitely that.
You can't deny that.
Cormier, he's a great wrestler, but we know what Frank Mir brings to the table. I mean, he'll break your arm.
He's got a few arms on his mantle for sure.
He sure does. So.
But Cormier can throw down gas tank. That's really, for me, what it comes down to. Cormier, he showed that he can go 5 full at a pretty high pace. Frank Mir, I don't know. Frank Mir definitely has the power edge and submission edge, but Cormier, he's always, I don't know, he always looks better every single time we see him.
He does. For some reason,
bounds.
I think it's just biting off a little bit more than he should chew at this point in his career.
Well, we're going to find out. I mean, it's his last fight on his contract, so it's a good way for him to either move up to the UFC or stay in the basement here at Strikeforce. Great timing. Real quick, should Dana consider sending more middle-tier fighters?
Absolutely. It's the only way to save Strikeforce.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. UFC roster's too big. I think they need more divisions now.
There's tons of guys that could go over and make that a competitive, make Strikeforce what it used to be, quite frankly. I mean, get a new contract, can Showtime. I'm telling you, yes, that's what he needs to do.
I digress. I meant there's more divisions in the UFC now, and there's less spotlight for each division.
Yes.
So I absolutely think that's the right thing, and I absolutely think it's going to sell tickets. We're going to go to the last commercial break. When we come back, Alan Belcher finally gets a top 5 opponent, and will MMA ever be in the Olympics? You're listening to Pound for Pound Sports, Nick and Darren, ESPN Radio, San Diego.
1700.
So I've been living in Southern California my entire life, and I've been an MMA fan for a very long time. And if it's one thing that I can't stand, it's the lack of coverage for this amazing sport. I mean, really, if you're a fan of this sport, the only place you could find anything whatsoever is on FM, and I'm talking for 5, maybe 10 minutes, and you don't learn anything.
Not only that, it's your biggest stars, too. UFC champions. We hear them locally here on rock stations for 5 minutes. Getting interviewed by rock DJs. So finally, we're bringing our show, Pound for Pound Sports, MMA dominant radio show to the air. ESPN Radio 1700. Very excited about the move, starting August 4th, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 10.
And I can't wait. I mean, what a fantastic opportunity we finally have. We're in on the ground floor of something truly great, and I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity. So make sure you tune in Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10. We got the whole hour, ESPN Radio 1700, San Diego.
August 4th, the takeover.
And we'll see you real soon.
Take care.
And Route, good show, guys.
Thanks, Producer Jen. Good job there, little boy.
Thank you, Fat Man. You listen to talk radio in San Diego?
Of course I do. Where do you think I get my knowledge?
You call it knowledge, I call it right-wing propaganda.
What do you do now that there's no Air America, and thank goodness for that?
Well, unfortunately, when Air America went away, I had to find something else, so I started listening to sports talk radio.
And sports talk radio in San Diego is all the same. It's the same old, same old.
You're right. That's about to change.
How?
August 4th, PFP Sports is bringing their show to ESPN Radio AM 1700.
Really? August 4th. Is that a Saturday?
Saturday, August 4th, 9 o'clock in the morning. They're going to have their show every Saturday, and we will finally have a show that talks combat sports in San Diego.
Well, that I will definitely not miss.
Yeah, me neither.
Wow, you guys agree on something? It must be good.
And here we are. Back better than ever. 4th and final segment here, ladies and gentlemen. A couple more big matchups. Some more news coming out of UFC and Strikeforce this week. The first one, and I don't want to say best one, but I love the idea of this matchup. I want to pick your brain about it. Alan Belcher, Vitor Belfort, UFC 153 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Belcher finally gets that top 5 opponent he's been looking for. He's been gunning for a step up in competition in the main spotlight for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, how long have we been talking about him? Let's be honest, Alan Belcher's been on our show for the last month.
Yeah, no, he should.
And he, as well, he deserves this. I was really pumped when I heard this news.
Talk about another coming out party, him against Paul Harris. I mean,
yep.
Huge win for that guy. And like I said, if there's ever any Alan Belcher doubters or haters out there, I think he silenced every single one of the critics. Should the winner of this fight rightfully get a shot at the title, or at least be a number 1 status condition?
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. The problem is, I think there's going to be a title fight before we find out who, or there's going to be a title fight announced before this fight happens.
I agree with you.
So, but as far as down the road, I absolutely think the winner of this fight.
I think they're fighting for number 1.
I think they are fighting for number 1. And this is shaping up to be a great card. We got Jose Aldo and Koch and Rampage and Teixeira, and now this. It's shaping up to be a really good card in Brazil. And I love this matchup. I'm a big fan of both of these guys.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I love this matchup, and you mentioned it being in Brazil. I'm a huge fan of these cards in Brazil. I mean, the turnouts they get from the weigh-ins to the soccer chants. I don't know, when you get a crowd that's, that lively and that into it, I think it tends to bring out some of the better performances out of some of the guys on the card, don't you?
Yeah, and it adds to the excitement overall. As a fan just sitting there watching, it just adds to the excitement. It sure does.
We mentioned that probably it's going to be for number one contender status, not necessarily a title. Really, if you were talking about title, I think it really kind of depends on the outcome of the fight. I think either guy would have to win in spectacular fashion at this point to kind of, derail the next guy. Maybe it's Weidman. Maybe it's Bisping, Stan, the winner of that fight. But like I said, I think winner of this fight, it would have to happen in spectacular fashion, and it could very well go down that way, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? It's just, again, we've talked about it for three straight shows now, and there's just such a logjam. And really, if you look at the top five guys, the only one that finds himself without an opponent right now is Chris Weidman. So he almost, makes me wonder if maybe we're going to hear an announcement sometime soon that he's going to be fighting Anderson Silva. That's just my early assumption. But as far as this fight, Alan Belcher, what more is the guy going to have to do? If he goes out there and puts out Vitor Belfort, he absolutely deserves number one contender, regardless of what happens in the Bisping-Stan fight.
Yeah, logjam at 185. We've been talking about it for weeks here. Big fan of Duke Rufus's camp. Alan Belcher, in my opinion, he should be 7-0 in the UFC. I don't care what they say about that Akiyama fight. He should be 7-0. And right now, as it stands today, he's about as quiet a guy, or name, I should say, up to this point as you've ever seen. A guy that's 7-0 in the UFC, not getting the type of Hector Lombard run that we've just seen. Seriously, what do you do about that?
No, I know. What do you think of the fight? Or what is your early thoughts on the fight?
My early prediction is that obviously it's a great matchup. You got speed and power. I believe Belcher may be the more well-rounded fighter at this point in time. Obviously, the speed and power advantage goes to Vitor Belfort. I think really what Belcher did with Paul Harris showed his competency on the ground. I think he's got the edge there.
Yeah,
you don't think he's a more well-rounded fighter? Vitor is the more dangerous fighter.
I think Vitor Belfort, just because he's so good on his feet, I think people forget. He's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu too, He could handle his own on the ground. I think black belt in judo.
But I don't see Belfort competing in a lot of the competitions that I see Paul Harris doing. And Alan Belcher absolutely showed the world what he's capable of on the floor. Before that Paul Harris fight, everybody's don't go to the ground, leg locks, knee bars, and what did he do?
I agree with you. I can't deny that. But we're talking about a different level of striker that Alan Belcher hasn't fought before.
You're absolutely right.
If I'm my early guess, I like both these guys, but I got to go with Vitor Belfort. Early prediction.
You know what? It's not a bad early prediction. I can absolutely see that. I think he's the more dangerous fighter, but I think Belcher's a little more well-rounded. You mentioned Chris Weidman, now the only top contender without an opponent. Yeah. Does this open up a door for a title shot? Do you think it's a bit early?
I do think it's a bit early, but I also think it opens the door for a title shot.
Yeah. No, I think. Like I said, I've had about a week to think about it, and I was thinking, he had the coming out party. He should be the guy that gets the next shot, but. After having mulled it over for about a week, I'd like to see him maybe fight one more time, shore things up. He's as qualified as any number one out there, in my opinion, but I would like to see him fight at least once.
The problem with, though, is, I've been saying it for weeks, I think they needed to have Alan Belcher and Chris Weidman fight.
No, they should.
Obviously, that's not going to happen. And whatever happened to the whole Vanderlei Silva Vitor Belfort beef? We're not going to
squash. That's
done. We're not going to be able to see that fight since Rich Franklin won.
Does anybody want to see that fight? Really? I don't have any desire. After that Vanderlei Silva, Rich Franklin, I don't really have any desire to see either one of those guys fight again, to be honest.
And where does Rich Franklin fit in the mix? Who's he going to fight?
They're talking title. A lot of people on Twitter are talking, title shot, and
Who?
Rich Franklin, he voiced his desire, much like Brock Lesnar did before UFC 141.
Yeah, I'd like a title shot too.
Yeah,
this is not going to happen.
Everybody, talk to Bisping about title shots. Yeah. Everybody, I hate to be not hugging on that guy, but that guy's been, it's funny. I put up a clip the other day. He says, "Hey man, I've been stretching." Not stretching. He says, I've been fighting the best of the best in the UFC while you were fighting bums. He was referring to Hector Lombard, but he's right. I'm not saying Lombard
100% right.
I'm not saying Lombard fought nothing but bums, but he has
close to it.
Say what you will about his competition, but if there's ever a guy out there as deserving as Bisping out there, I'll be damned if I could find it.
Yeah.
What's funny is you also mentioned, you don't want to see guys rush, and you talk about Chris Weidman for a second. One of the reasons I don't like seeing rush, I'll point out to Dan Hardy. And look at what happened to him. That guy was about as fast and brightest brightest star coming into the organization, as we've seen in a long time, and then he got that title shot, and it kind of destroyed his confidence. I think he lost, I want to say 4 straight, 3 or 4 straight.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 4. But, there's a perfect example of what happens when you rush fighters out there, and you'd hate to see that happen to a guy like Weidman, but, the composure that guy showed, I mean, he really is well-rounded, I mean, in every sense of the word.
You know what, I couldn't disagree with that, but, one thing I've learned since, we've been watching MMA, it's been a long time, you never get too high on a guy after a win, and you never get too down after a loss.
Good point.
I mean, he looked against Mark Munoz like the best fighter in the UFC. Are we going to sit here and call him the best UFC fighter?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
So I think it's too early. You can't have a guy have one solid dominating performance, against a big name, and then just give him a title shot. He does it again against another name, he's ready.
You see that out there a lot. Another matchup in the books. I don't know if I'm really excited for. Well, I'm excited because it's Gilbert Melendez. Okay, but they match him up against a guy in Pat Healy, who does have a lot of experience, but if you look at his record, he's fallen to most of the big names that he's ever fought out there. I mean, check his resume.
He sure has.
You look at, just to name a few, Josh Thompson, T.J. Wahlberger, Jake Ellenberger, Rory Markham. I mean, those guys aren't exactly slouches, but, as I said before, every name, every mainstream guy that you've heard of, he's had some trouble with. So
he's a guy looking for a signature win still. He's getting a title shot in Strikeforce.
I mean, but can you look at that resume and think that it's going to be any different with a guy like Gilbert Melendez? I mean, everybody's got a puncher's chance.
But, no. At this point with Gilbert Melendez, I almost wonder if there's some sort of backdoor beef with Zuffa and his management.
There's got to be, because
something.
I mean, it's very hard to justify him staying in Strikeforce, when they're putting him up against, matchups like this. I mean, there's clearly all the matchups, the dream matchups we want to see aren't in Strikeforce for this guy.
He's got nothing left to prove in Strikeforce. He's got nothing. He's running out of competition, quite frankly.
Running out. I mean, this is proofs in the pudding right here. I mean, Pat Healy, like I said, I'm not hating on Pat Healy. I'm just
stating the facts.
Stating the facts. Scoreboard doesn't lie. I mean, Gilbert Melendez is in, everybody's top 5, top 6 pound for pound, arguably. And so to fight a guy that has, close to a 500 record, not 500, but I think he's like 28-14. Yeah. He's got a lot of losses on the record. I mean, it's a bit much for a guy who's regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
Yeah, and not just that. The 155 division in UFC is so stacked, and there's just so many solid fights out there. When you look at a guy like Anthony Pettis, I mean, who wouldn't want to see Anthony Pettis and Gilbert Melendez go at it?
That guy's kind of been a logjam right now. I think that would be a fantastic matchup.
I mean, there's just so many matchups you could put for him in the UFC. I mean, that's what makes me think there's got to be some sort of beef.
There's got to be something. We move on to the last subject here. We just got a couple minutes left. It's big opening ceremonies going on tomorrow. Will we ever see MMA become an Olympic sport?
I don't. MMA as we know it today, I don't think it's possible. I just don't. I don't. I mean, there would have to be so many rules changes with pros, amateurs, headgear, no headgear. I mean, there's just so many things that would have to happen to put MMA in the Olympics. I don't see it happening.
Well, they got another 4 years to make it work. Like I said, you look at where mixed martial arts as a whole has come in the last 4 years. I mean, I'm at least hopeful that maybe they could be closer. But like I said, you've still got sanctioning bodies in New York that won't let us have it. It's really a sad state of affairs. I mean, a lot of components of mixed martial arts are already represented. You got judo, wrestling, taekwondo, just to name a few. They're all components. Let's put them all together and get it started.
Yeah, no, I don't see it happening. I mean, with the way these guys are getting injured, what happens if a guy breaks his hand but yet wins? I mean, there's just so many things that could happen, and with the Olympics, it's a tournament style. It's just I don't see MMA as we know it now ever being an Olympic sport.
Well, it's going down in Rio 2016. I mean, if it is, I would love to see it go down in a place like that for sure.
Just one more thing for Brazil to kick our ass in, really.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest here. Brazil's they're taking over MMA. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that statement. This week, I'm sorry guys, we got no take it to the book. There's no action going on this week, or at least none that's substantial enough for me to lose my money on. So we're going to break it out next Thursday. We're going to point over to the UFC on FX4. A lot of great odds over there. I can't wait to check it out. Twitter at Nick Sports.
I'm at Darren PFP Sports. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pound for pound.
Pound for pound sports.
Pound for pound sports.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Alrighty. Praise be to the Most High. That ain't no lie. See you next time.
August 4th. Take over.
Taking over.